Hey Queen, my name is Katrina Lewis-Dixon and I am your host of the Humble Entrepreneurial Esthetician, where I want to normalize the struggle of being your own boss by sharing real, raw stories behind some of your favorite Etsys. Now let's boss up.
Hey Queens! Thank you so much for tuning into this week's episode. I am really excited to talk about it just because it is a huge transitional phase in my business right now, and I have a lot of positive but also negative feedback. So I am here to speak my truth and explain to y'all a little bit of why I made the decision and where we're going next. So tune in. I've seen a lot of estheticians, whether it's here in Canada or even in the States, a lot of people are moving back home to their home business or their home studio. Now, when I tell y'all the stress was so much less when I did not have employees and I did not have to go leave my house, it was so much easier. But I did make the decision of moving out of my own home studio right after the pandemic. I really wanted to separate home and business. It was just getting really stressful. I didn't have like a basement or a separate entrance to go into my studio. So it was just everything in one place. And as you all know, I'm very big on energy. So I was saging after every single day. And it's just a lot of people in your place, especially in an apartment. And you know, first impressions matter. I remember I had one of the producers from CTV come into my studio and I was like, oh my gosh, like my building is a little ghetto and you know? So I finally decided to move out. I will be making a whole episode about my journey of like moving out to my other studio, and then that was a shit show, and then the other one and But we're talking about 2023 right now. So I was already in a studio for about a year at New Edinburgh. That's my baby. That's my boo. That's where we're staying. And then I had my full-time employee Tia at the time. Beginning of January 2023, I knew I wanted to get a second location. One, we did not have a room at the New Edinburgh location for 3 estheticians. And 2, I just wanted to expand. You know, I was really excited about having a team. I love the downtown location, but I wanted something more like Canada, Barhaven, so more west side. So I ended up looking at highs and lows. It's so hard to find like a studio rental or a room for rent here in Ottawa. I've been seeing them all over the States. I've been seeing these warehouses and it's just room. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is what I'm envisioning. One of my girls, she works out of my salon suites in Ottawa, but it's downtown and I am not making y'all pay for parking. I'm so sorry, but I love you. And if you have to pay for your service plus gratuity plus $10 in parking, absolutely no. So I wanted something that was easy, accessible for my clients. So actually my girl that was doing my hair at the time, she recommended this place that I had gone to for privacy reasons. I haven't moved out yet, so I'm not mentioning the name, but y'all already know. It's around Hun Club. And so I went to look in. There wasn't really any advertising, anything on the door. So I was like, you know what, like maybe another time. End of January, I was like driving around different locations, you know, just maybe like a sign would come out literally in front of my face and tell me like room for rent. And I did all of my research on Kijiji, on Facebook Marketplace, everywhere. So I went back to this original place that my girl told me that there was something developing. She told me this like 3-4 like months ago, right? So I went back and then all of a sudden the door was open. There was like a hairdresser in the very front window. So I was like, okay, great. I walked in. Y'all, when I say I had envisioned this, like I walked in, it said like studios for rent. It had a board with everybody's room number. There wasn't a lot of tenants there at the time. And then when you walked in, it was just a hall, boom, 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 room, one side, room, the other side. So I was like, blessed, like I was already sold. I already knew this is exactly what I wanted. It was also kind of on the exact same road as my other location. It's just one was more like west side, and then the other one was downtown, and I live right in the middle. So it was actually perfect for convenience. I was going back and forth and it was perfect. So I went in, I saw the owner. There was a really cool hairstylist there at the time. She was really, really welcoming. And I looked at a couple rooms. The price at the time was a lot higher than my budget, but I knew in my heart this is exactly what I wanted. So I kind of upgraded to a bigger room, but I got the price that I wanted. And then I think that was like February-ish. And then by the end of the month, we had moved in just like that. I had painted the room. My full-timer helped me so much, and I just got all the equipment. I got a brand new bed, and I was so proud and so excited. Even though I wasn't going to be working there as often, my priority was New Edinburgh location at the time. So I was only working at the Hunt Club location like maybe twice a month. And there wasn't really any place for me to be like a receptionist or me to, work to support my employee at the time. So it was basically her little studio. Fast forward a couple months later, we're trying to promote, we're trying to cross promo. At the time, there was maybe only 4 or 5 tenants. And it was a decent team at the time for sure. But the owner itself, he wasn't really motivated into like making more money for us. It was more revenue, like how can he fill up the rooms, He had no idea how to run the aesthetics or the hairstyling industry. He just had money and he wanted to build this. So you know what? I was like, I'm just renting a room from you, not affiliated. Right. Fast forward even a little bit more. And it got pretty micromanagerial there. He would be very strict about like when we could leave, what time we could leave, not to use the water. Y'all know I use sugar, so we need the hot water. And then it just started getting a very, very catty environment. We did a couple of openings, and he didn't want to listen to like our input, even though we have all been in the industry for a few years. But again, I was like, I'm just renting a room. My room rental at this location was more than my actual rent at home. I have a 2-bedroom apartment, and I was paying at least $300 or $400 more in this room rental. But you know what? Dreams are dreams. Gotta do what you gotta do. Fast forward, by September, I was like, F this. I'm done with this location. Which was really disappointing because it was very clean. It was very neat. It was a great location. Everything was great, but it was a very toxic environment. My poor girl Tia was just dealing with a lot of like negative energy, and like she was by herself because I wasn't able to be there and just like hang out in the next room or anything like that. And honestly, y'all, like the vibe is just so off. So I was like, you know what? Why don't we expand? And why don't we get our own location? I made this decision probably in like August, and then September, October, I decided like I was going to get my own location. Looked around all over the place. Shout out to one of our clients who was a real estate agent, and he hooked us up with a really, really cool property. It was a little bit more farther into the west side, so closer to like Barhaven, which would have been great for the Canada clients because we had clients from all over, y'all. Like some of my clients come all the way from Montreal. Shout out, love y'all. Obviously more summertime, but I have clients coming from Renfrew. I have clients from Canada. Like I have clients from all different directions. So when you feel like clients are not going to come to you, F that, change your mindset, because clients will drive as far as Timbuktu just to come and see you. So do not be stressed about, oh, people aren't going to come see me, or maybe I live out in the boonies and rah. No, that's all your mindset. Once again, listen to the manifestation podcast because it's all your mindset. If you're going to put that doubt out into the universe, then you are not going to get any clients. Okay. Anyway, back to this. So we went and we looked at a few properties. We found a really awesome property, but we just didn't get it in time. And then there was another property upstairs, and there was like beautiful lighting. It was about 3 rooms, an extra staff room. There would have been a lot of money put into it. And the price was a lot higher than I was used to. Because again, I'm used to a room rental. So we were looking at this property, and it was just screaming at us. It was such a nice place. There was only like one thing about it that we didn't love, that the bathroom wasn't inside of the spa, but everything else was like just coming to life. I was so excited. And like after probably like 3 or 4 years working on my own, I was like, wow, I'm finally going to have a spa. I'm finally going to have a business. I'm so freaking excited. And then end of October rolls around. I'm paying for like first and last month's rent. And then I'm like, wow, this is pretty steep. And if y'all have ever worked with like real estate agents and everything under the sun, it just like the numbers just seem to add up, you know? And then you're looking at your hydro and your inventory and your payments and this and that. And I was like, oh my gosh, what the F am I doing? I ended up going to Dominican for a week just to like disconnect, breathe. And I remember signing like one of the contracts while I was down there. And here I am supposed to be like popping bottles and all excited. This is my first location, all to myself. No, I was not feeling that. I don't know what was wrong, but there was definitely like a nasty little pit in the bottom of my stomach. And I was like, you know what? Maybe I'm just going through a lot in my personal life. Maybe when I get back, things will feel better. I did not feel better. Mid-November, I was just like, what am I doing? Like, if I do go to this new location, I'm going to have to give up New Edinburgh because I'm not going to be able to pay for both, da-da-da-da-da. And like, there was just so many red flags. And then the real estate agent that we were working with was all of a sudden saying we couldn't do laser because the girls downstairs were doing laser. We couldn't do blue light, which we were already doing. So I'm like, okay, so one, you're limiting us. Like we had at first a 3-year contract, then it turned into a 5-year contract. And I was like, damn, that was made for 5 years. And look how that turned out. So I was like, let's maybe not. And then the fact that she was just like limiting us to doing what we wanted to do. And if there was laser downstairs, then obviously, y'all, that is a huge competition. If we have clients every 4 to 6 weeks coming in for a wax and they see laser downstairs, eventually y'all are going to gravitate. As we know, laser doesn't work that great. And there's so many terrible side effects with laser, which we'll get into in another episode. So I decided by like later in November, I was like, what if I could get my deposit back? I was like, I'm just not feeling this. I don't want to rush it. I was then at the time supposed to start moving in December. And I was just like, no, there's too many red flags. I would have had to been paying for 3 locations for December, January, and February because I was still at the New Edinburgh location, the Hunt Club location, and now the Maribel location. And y'all, when I'm telling you, money does not stress me anymore. I used to have a lot of financial insecurities. I do not care because I know money is energy and it will flow into my reality. I give so much money away to friends, to families, to strangers, to homelessness, to gratuities. I constantly give money away because money is energy. So the more you put out, the more you get in return. So I was very settled on like, you know what? If I don't get back my first and last month's rent, it's not meant to be. I was so ready to lose like over $8,000. And I was like, you know what? If it's not meant to be, it's not meant to be. And I was so happy with just like letting go of this contract, saying like, I'm not going to be coming to this location. And I was so comfortable with just like making that final decision. Now, luckily, I got my money back because one of the real estate agents did make a mistake and she wasn't like very correct in like some of her wordings, and just like some of the things that they had told me from the beginning weren't correlating to their end result. So I got my money back. Blessings upon blessings. I deserve it. Yes, ma'am. But you know what? I had so much feedback from friends, from family, from other clients. Like, what do you mean? Like, why didn't you move out? Like, it was such a nice location, da da da. For so many reasons, this is why it's so hard to share your ideas, especially with people that do not know how to run a business or are not running a business. Okay. Now, I don't let these things get to me. I really, really don't. I used to, especially a lot of people's input, but I'm like, you don't run a business. You don't know. At the end of the day, you just don't know. You don't realize how much hard work goes into it, how much stress goes into it, how much energy goes into it, how much money goes into it. And now I have built my business from the ground up. Now, I started all the way at Cat's Corner in my grandma's basement. Then I moved into an apartment. Then I got into another location. And now this would be technically my 3rd location. I have put all my own money into my business. I think my mom helped buy me a bed. And I think other than that, I put all my own money into my business. I haven't had grants. I haven't had anything, any handouts towards my business. Now, when I was potentially moving into this new location, I was so freaking excited. And I was like, wow, this is exactly what I wanted. But by the end of November, I realized this is what Trina from 5 years ago wanted. Okay. This is what people expect of me. This is what people see in social media. And this is what people see in their growth. And this is supposed to be, quote unquote, the next step. But at that time, I did not feel that that was the right step for me. And I am so grateful I listened to my intuition. I am so grateful that we did not decide on that, because now we are all going to be moving back into New Edinburgh location. We have 2 rooms now for rent as opposed to 1. So we have 3 staff members, including myself, at this one location, which is going to make me so happy because 1, inventory is all under one roof. Y'all have no idea how stressful it was. Even though I lived in between both locations, I was running from point A to point B on a regular, and it was so stressful. It was very hard to manage my staff. And thank goodness, shout out to Tia, love you endlessly, but she's so mature and she's a boss bitch already. So she already knew like how to take care of things. Obviously, it was a learning curve for both of us, but she was very trustworthy in the sense that I did not have to micromanage her. I did not have to watch her every single move. I trusted her and it all worked out. But towards the end of the year, I realized like we weren't even making money with the amount of money that we were putting into this location, and only with one staff member there, it just wasn't making enough money. So moving back into New Edinburgh, all my inventory is going to be under one roof. So if one thing, you don't have to buy as much inventory because you're not buying like half for one location, half for another. I can just buy whole for one location and then leave all the overstock in my place if needed. Also, you're not paying double for laundry. And luckily at the second location, we did not have to pay for hydro. We did not have to pay for any extra cleaning or anything like that. Not that it was greatly cleaned in the beginning. But I knew moving to this Maryville location, I would have had to pay double in hydro, double in inventory, and I would have had to pay extra for parking at Maryville. And again, I only have myself as a manager, as a supervisor, as the head bitch in charge, right? So I'm the one that has to run back and forth to each location. So that being said, I am so proud of myself because I did not let what other people said about my business or me or, you know, their hopes and dreams get to me. I know that we have announced that we are now moving to the new location, which is in New Edinburgh. It is a downtown location. There is free parking and it is a cozy little neighborhood. And like when I'm telling you, when I walk into that location, I just feel like it's home. Like I know one day it's going to be mine. I know one day that I will claim it. And I'm just like paying like next to nothing for one in rent. And for two, it's just such a nice, welcoming environment. Whereas my other location was very like franchise feel. And I don't like that. I want my clients to feel safe, confident, secure. You know, you all know about my business, my values, my vision. I want you all to feel safe and comfortable inside my room. And I have clients that are like, oh, well, that's so far. And oh, that's super inconvenient for me. Well, then you can find another esthetician. Because at the end of the day, I know that I have clients from Renfrew, which is like at least an hour away without traffic, downtown to my location, and they have no problem coming back and forth. So you're either going to make it or you're going to find somebody else. And I am a true believer at this point in time in my life that if the clients are rude, if they're not willing to come to you, if they expect too much, if they want discounts, yada, yada, then they're not meant to be for us. And that just removes them out of our reality so that new clients that are aligned with us can come in. So one person out is another person in. So I wanted this episode to really just motivate all of you, whether you have your own home business, whether you are renting a room, whether you do have your own studio, that it is never too late, okay? It is never too late to change your mind unless your contract is 5 years, but it is never too late to change your mind, okay? And do not let people that do not know how to run a business or do not run a business dictate or criticize what you do and say, okay? This is your business at the end of the day. And sometimes if you're like me, I can be a little indecisive some days. So, you know, I hop on and I overthink and I'm back and forth and da-da-da-da. But at the end of the day, it is your business. So, you know, I was going through a really hard time in November just with my personal life. And when I was going through this transitional period, I was like, I just need like a week or two off from like thinking and let my ideas just flow to me. And that's exactly what happened. Now, if y'all know me in November, I was a lost little bird. I was like, I don't want any more employees. I just want to move back home. I'm done with it. Like, it's so much easier just to have my own business, da-da-da-da. Working from home is so much easier. I don't have to leave the house as much. I only have to take care of myself. I love my clients. Like, they're all for me, da-da-da. Fast forward, it is what, February 5th right now. And I am so excited to have 2 employees under one roof. I am looking to hire another employee, and I am not going to be working as much with clients. So I'm going to be taking a step back because, one, I deserve it. I've been doing this for 15 years. I am so freaking tired. But I also know that I'm always going to be doing services because I adore and I'm obsessed with my clients. My clients are my besties. I love y'all so much. So the clients that are booked, reliable, and booked 2 months ahead of time are the ones that are going to stay with me. And I'm only going to be working Mondays and Tuesdays, and then Tia will be working Monday through Friday, and then my other girl, Lulu, will be working Fridays and Saturdays. And I'm really hoping to hire another esthetician, so eventually my business can run on its own. I can hire a manager, I can hire a supervisor, so like when I am gone, I'm not going to be worried about the spa burning down. I'm not going to be worried about having to go and take a vacation and things are a hot mess when I get back. So I am really excited for this brand new journey because it is so funny how like I was like, I'm going to move out, brand new location. My heart was set on it by the end of 2023. And then even like beginning of 2024, I was like, oh, I'm going to get a new location, looked everywhere, and everything is very similar, like franchise, like not community building, not supportive of one another. And as you know, this industry can be super catty. And that's exactly what this location turned into, the one on Hunt Club. It was just so much competition. It was just everybody out there for themselves. And like, I get it, you know, you have your own business, right? But at the end of the day, like we can cross promote, we can all scratch each other's back in one way or another. We're all doing different services and we can all promote each other. But it just became a very, very toxic environment. And I love the location I work at downtown because I rent from one of my besties, and then one of her employees is one of my besties. So we're all very, very close, but we're all still very accountable for each other, for our time, for our cleaning, for our space. And we respect each other's space so much. And it's literally like on bottom of a house building. It used to be like a pharmacy, but it's just like a very nice homey feel. So if y'all were at Hunt Club and you want to come back to New Edinburgh, then you are more than welcome. We are officially booking Tia for March 2024 back downtown. So please do not miss the opportunity. I'm hoping to have a grand opening maybe in like spring, summer and just get everybody in. But again, I just want to show you a little bit of my experience and show you how freaking lost I was. And it all works out. You know, the universe puts you in different places in life and challenges you every single day. Because if you had every single thing you wanted right now, then you'd be bored, right? Like if you're on a vacation for 2-3 weeks, you get bored eventually because you want to work towards something else, right? Well, not everybody, but I do. I love working. I love what I do. I do love my work-life balance, but I do really, really value my time at work. And I know that I was completely lost in November 2023. And now I can envision my future and envision the year that's to come. And I'm so excited and I'm so ready and I am so open to receiving. So thank you so much for listening to this episode. If you have moved out of your home studio or you're thinking about moving back in, I want you to drop a comment below. If you work at a spa and you're like, I'm thinking of working at home, drop a comment below. Because at the end of the day, it really depends. Like you really, really have to write down the pros and cons. Like there's so many pros to working at home. And I think a lot of people, I think there's a big stereotype of working at home, but at the end of the day, as long as you have your health and safety certification, your business license at home, it can be in your apartment, in your house, doesn't matter. They're still allowed to come. You can make it your own. And I do cherish the memories that I had at home. It was very comfy, but again, I really like leaving my house to go to work, and I work like literally 14 minutes door to door, so it's no problem. I love working at New Edinburgh right now. I also highly, highly recommend if you are willing to move out of your home, move into a studio rental. You don't have as much overhead, so you don't have to pay for your electricity and your hydro a lot of places. You don't have to pay for your laundry. And it's a really nice stepping stone before opening your own salon or your own spa. Now, again, it might not be for everybody, and that's okay too. You can still make 6 figures working on your own. Y'all, like you do not have to put so much stress on yourself. If you are a waxer and you do 32 Brazilians per week, you're golden, you're Gucci. Okay, so figure out what is your most profitable service and focus on it. Figure out what is your most profitable retail item and focus on that. Because a lot of people are going to be like, oh, you need to do a little bit of everything. You need to do, no, absolutely not. Or you want to be catered to everybody? Absolutely not. I used to have that mindset. I used to do everything, and then it just got so clouded. And especially with facials, some products would expire and this and that. Like unless your revenue is facials itself, it is very, very difficult to have so many little pockets of aesthetic services, especially if you're the only one behind the service or treatment room doing the services. I highly recommend figuring out what your niche is, what is making you most profitable, and make sure to focus on that, which will be another episode. But anyway, thank you so much for listening to this episode. I love you all from the bottom of my heart. I appreciate you for tuning in and listening to this week's episode. And please make sure to drop a comment below, either on YouTube, on Spotify, on Apple, just so I can know what you guys are liking, what topics you want me to talk about, and how it's related to you. Thanks, y'all.
Thank you for listening to today's podcast. I am your host, Katrina Lewis-Dixon, and I see you, boo-boo. Whether you're at home, driving, or setting up for your clients, let's boss up together. If this podcast aligns with you, then please make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Later.